Recently I showed you guys a short about this Riventech Airjet. I guess the best thing to call it is an Airjet. It's not a traditional fan. Basically, imagine you took like the very high pressure, like high static pressure, high airflow design of like the blower fan on an air conditioning unit, like a wall unit, and turned it into PC fans. So today we're gonna actually throw this in a computer. We actually got it free right here. We're gonna throw this in a computer and see how it does. But we're gonna go one step further. We're also gonna knock the smoke machine off the table and put it on a radiator. If you're building a PC that's meant to be seen, then check out the new Atlas P6 CG from Gemdias. This isn't just another fish tank case. The Atlas P6 CG features a massive 270-degree curved tempered glass design that gives you an uninterrupted view of your hardware from almost any angle. And for those of you who spend way too much on collectibles, don't worry, Gemdias thought of that too, and it actually includes a dedicated display platform with its own spotlight. Cooling is handled with 4 pre-installed ARGB PWM fans and the chimney-style airflow layout that pulls cool air from the bottom and exhausts heat naturally through the top and rear. It also supports up to 360mm radiators, GPUs up to 425mm long, and even rear connector motherboards for a cleaner cable management look. You also get USB-C on the front I/O and includes an ARGB hub, adjustable GPU support bracket, and a dual chamber layout designed to keep your build looking as clean as possible. So if you want a case that's equal parts airflow, showcase, and conversation starter, check out the Gemdias Atlas P6 CG at the link below. And you know one of the best parts is? I have 2 of them. So today we're gonna check this out. A couple of caveats, things to put out there as disclaimers. Yes, they sent them to me, but no, this is not like a sponsored video or paid video or anything like that. These are not out yet. They are literally waiting for this video to put them out, which I don't think they should do. But whenever this video goes live, theoretically, these should be live on their buy pages, wherever that's gonna be at the same time. When I showed this in the short, there was a lot of people that were like, how will it do on a radiator? And I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. I'm a little concerned about radiators because of the fact that the air is channeled through this center duct, right? So the way this works, the blades turn like this, right? And if you notice, the blades are kind of like a screw. So they grab the air and then they funnel it through and then it comes out this center channel in a straight line. My concern here is you put that on a radiator, only the center of the radiator is gonna get any airflow. So I'm a little concerned that it's not going to work very well on a rad versus normal centrifugal style fans, because those come out in a cone, so you get a lot more airflow through the radiator. But we're gonna test it. We might as well at least see if my theory is correct. Now it does have these little rubber standoffs that are probably only about 1 mil or maybe 3/4 mil thick. So as soon as you put a radiator on there, there's also a little gap. So it's not going to seal up very tight. But again, because I have 2, I might as well try it. It's pretty straightforward though. It's pretty neat in that I believe they have 2 sizes, a 240 and a 360. Not sure if they're gonna have white or not. It does have an RGB strip in here somewhere. Something lights up on here because we have an RGB plug, which also has a pigtail on it so you can plug other things into it. But it's a single connector, and because obviously you have the 2 motors that turn the entire shaft. Now the cool thing about this is going to give you a nice solid column of air, straightforward. So in terms of moving air into an object, putting them in the front of the case seems like a good place to put it because you're gonna get a nice straight column of air. Like in this instance, some of it will go in the lower compartment, which is kind of wasted because this particular chassis, the power supply picks up air from underneath the case. So that's kind of lost. We get drives or something down there, then those could get some cooling. The air will be solid from top to bottom. So you'll have air that will make it under the graphics card. You'll have air that'll blow over the top of the graphics card. You have air that'll blow over your RAM, your PCH, and then straight through. And then because this particular chassis is using an AIO as an exhaust on the top, fresh air will come right here and feed right to those fans on the AIO. Now there's a couple things to consider. These things are thick. These are I don't have my calipers with me, but if I had to guess, these are probably approaching 60mm thick, at least 55 to 60 mil. So depending on the size of your chassis, you could have impact. Now I kind of did a little bit of test fitting here. I should be able to still fit the AIO, put it on the AIO and clear that rear fan, which will be completely pointless if this is pushing air that way. I don't think air will even make it to that fan because of how much static pressure and flow this thing has. So removing the rear fan would make sense, but I should be able to still fit it here, and still clear the tubes. Because of the thickness on this chassis, I can't mount it on the mesh side because it's the bracket, you can put the fans on either side. It has to go on the inside because it's too thick to fit in the front. So there's a lot to consider here when it comes to mounting this. I guess technically if I wanted to do something custom, I could have run the cable for the GPU through the back and then potentially just had that blowing right at the GPU. Potentially even remove the GPU fans. Hey, they should do a 5090 cooler with these. Anyway, talk about some of the specs on this real quick. I'm literally just reading the box on this one. I don't have a way to validate any of this, and I don't even think Steve would be able to validate this without making a new front enclosure for his fan tester thing. But it's a 3,000 RPM. It moves the air velocity of 4.6 meters per second. We showed that in the short. Like, it just throws the air far out from it. In fact, it was reaching across the room in terms of the smoke and how far we were seeing it go. It says it's 39 dBA and it's 2 ball bearings and it has a 3-year warranty. Now at full speed, it can be pretty noisy. But the crazy part is as soon as you slow it down, the static pressure and the airflow stays pretty high, but the noise exponentially gets quieter. So what I'll do right now is I'll sort of demonstrate this with just a tester power supply. And then what I'll do is I'll put an inline resistor that will slow it down to, like, say from 12 volts to 9 volts, like using the Noctua one. And it is ridiculous how quiet it gets. But then what I'm also gonna do is when I mount it to the radiator, I'm gonna use smoke, because the smoke will tell me exactly where the air is coming through the rad. And if we only see the center column of it, I probably won't even test it on the AIO, because of the fact that I think it would be pretty obvious at that point that we're not doing the AIO any favors whatsoever by removing probably 3/4 of the rows from getting any sort of airflow. But again, it depends on how wide this column comes out. Because it is straightened through here, and there's even this little ridge. This ridge has to have some sort of design and like intentional purpose. But if it's coming out completely straight, there's absolutely no reason to throw it on an AIO. It could definitely hurt performance. Anyway, let me get my power supply. Now, I've said this to them already. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember. Keep your fingers clear. These are metal, okay? And it would just pull your finger in there. Ooh, and I feel like what's happening, because there is a guard to keep it from going all the way in, there becomes a point where the blade just kind of slices the end of the finger. I feel like it would just fillet your finger. All right, turning it on. Keeping my fingers clear. This is full speed. It's feeling pretty wide, dude. Actually, I'm not feeling any air right there. We'll test that part in a minute. I need to mount it properly first. So this is full speed. And here, we'll give you, I'm about a meter away with my mic. Here's the audio clip. There's nothing in front of it. Once you put it in a case, it'll get louder because it's having to go through fan grills and stuff. So here's what it sounds like, the pitch. The crazy part is it's not, it just sounds like a wall unit AC going, but much quieter. Here's the smoke. You want the smoke? I'm gonna give you the smoke. It's a new smoke machine. It was actually a gift given to us. Check this out. I can even do this remote control, baby. And I'm putting it about a foot away from it. I like how I said a meter and a foot in the same video. Anyway, that way we can see how it pulls the air. Or the smoke. Dude, the velocity is nuts. It's turning the smoke. Whee! It's pointing away from it.
That's crazy.
Dude, look at, like, over there. The amount of smoke over there. Can you see how hazy it is? Yeah. Here, like, I'll just blow it past you, watch. It's so much velocity. So this is the low noise adapter from Noctua. This is the NARC14. This is what's crazy about it, is like, it just, how quiet it gets when you slow it down. But don't let that fool you. There is still a crap ton of velocity going through that. What about the radiators, though? I'm really hoping that the screws are the same threads as this. By the way, one thing I forgot to test real quick is when it stops spinning, how fast do they stop? I like that you can see the blades and so can I, right? How fast do they stop? Pretty quick, even though they have mass. What about full speed? pretty quickly. Dude, it had velocity, like it was thrusting, like this was leaning back and then it started rocking. So the mounting holes are complete pass-through. So when it comes to mounting it to your chassis, yeah, we'll figure it out because it's threaded on both sides, which is weird, I guess, ish. I don't know, you do get a pack of screws. Oh, they also give you some short ones. All right, well, I guess we'll just do this on camera because how you mount it is just as important, because if you can't mount it to your shit, that's a problem. So it's fully hollow in there, by the way, so it can make it be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get them lined up with the holes, I guess. Okay, so a full tube in there would be nice. Ah, see? So I grabbed an AIO because I believe they're actually M4 screws and not 6/32. So that means the screws in the Corsair rad were too big. So that's another thing you gotta consider, right? This, unless you're gonna source your own really long screw, which you could on Amazon, you can easily get that stuff. It may not thread into your AIO. And I only need 2 because it's so freaking rigid. But now, uh-oh. Okay, one's not turning. I feel like it's squishing the case right here. So I'm seeing the case kind of dip maybe, and that's, it totally binds it. That won't even turn. As soon as I loosen it, it turns. So it's secure. Like it's not loose or anything. This corner is obviously. Let me make sure it's not a thing of like needing both screws in there. Okay, suggestion number 2, make a solid tube through there. The reason why is there has to be material for it to thread. So it's not just flat with a hole, it's got like a ridge that comes up. So you have to get it to land straight in the middle of that ridge because it's kind of curved in to have threads, so.
It's like a Super Mario pipe, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one's doing it too. So, on this side, ooh, I literally feel it rubbing, like I feel it through the shaft. I can do it with my hands, watch. That is not ideal. Yeah, if I make it have any tension at all, any, I want to take that cover off and see what's under there. Honestly, those screws. I'm really curious now. But we can still find out if the airflow is good. Okay. You see how weak it is on the sides? It's really strong in the middle and then really weak over there. And we are getting some loss on the edges, watch. See right here? There you go. So now we can visualize how the sides here aren't actually getting any airflow right there. Like, not enough. See right there how the smoke can't even hit it? But over here, look at that. See how I can push it over? That's because there's no airflow except for the very center of the radiator. You can actually see the cushion. There's like a hump. Here, I'll do it on the side so you guys can see. I don't know if it's ideal. I'll still test it, right? I already have the temperatures run on this before, and I'll know for a fact. Something started pushing on that screw down there. Okay. Prototype. It is a prototype. All right, let's see what's inside. Okay, so the whole thing spins. And there's not a lot of room between the cover and that spinning motor. So I think what was happening is as I was tightening that screw down, just like I thought, this is very thin metal. So it was squishing that, which was rubbing on that. And that is exactly what happened. It's like there needs to be a little bit more clearance there. Okay, so they might need to clearance that a little bit. I have a feeling first thing that's gonna happen is people are gonna screw these things down to a rad or something, and then they're gonna immediately over tighten it, and then it's not gonna turn, they're gonna burn it out. But let's see if the fact that I pulled it some, maybe clearanced it enough. So I flipped it around as a pull instead of a push to see if that would help with the motor situation, but it doesn't at all. Yeah, I'm not really recommending this for a radiator, just saying. I think that's what these screws are intended for, but they gotta work on the clearancing of the motor. So, because it's closer to this side than this side. So when I had that flat on there and tightening it down, it was pushing the motor against it. No, I don't know. I don't know, it's just not probably ideal for that. Just saying. This is totally a case problem, but I also think this is an average size case people would use. This is the Montec shits, I don't know, Phil could put his name on the screen, I forget what it's called, but it's an average case. So obviously when I get this up in there, like first of all, this side impacts here, right? But fortunately, because of the offset, I can get it to mount, barely. But then I'm like, oh, but the thickness here is a problem and these tubes aren't gonna work, and like, I can't get the lower, like it doesn't go down enough to clear this. I'm like, shoot, how am I gonna do this? And then I was like, oh, crap. No screws needed. Now I can just put it wherever I want, I guess. So now, so, look at that. It can't possibly get any tighter than that. Like quite literally, it's touching everywhere. So, and also too, I can't even run a screw right here. It's not even tightened down. Look at that, take a break. So, I can't run the screw on that side. So they need to address that if they're expecting this to have AIO support, which to be honest, I don't think it should. And I know I'm repeating myself a million times because for you guys, we just moved on to the next part of the video, but it's been a while for me. Like at lunch, I haven't eaten yet today and I'm hungry. I'm clearly wasting away to nothing. All right, so a couple caveats. This one is plugged into the chassis header on the bottom of the motherboard. I don't know what the current fan curve is set to on that. And then this top one right now is plugged into the same one the AIO fans were, and it's at 65% duty cycle. So let's just see what it sounds like. I think the AIO, or the RGB is going. Let's do the test. It's just kind of. Dude, on low, that's a good amount of velocity right there, holy cow. But look at this, look how much of this air is not really being affected. If we take a look at the AIO, Jesus Christ! Whoa. Look how straight that column of. It might actually be doing better on the AIO than I thought it would. They need to get that fixed. Look at that.
It's pretty full.
Yeah, and it's not even moving fast. Like there's hardly any sound, listen. That is very effective. So now I want to see with the side panel on, if it's pulling air from back here, or if that's actually supplying enough air. Wow. Okay. With the AIO once, it's also grabbing from right there. So clearly the front isn't supplying enough air because that's clearly pulling in from right there. Okay, it's totally negative pressure. So we need to pump up the front fan, look. See that?
Oh yeah.
Totally negative pressure because the AIO fan is pulling that in from the bottom. All right, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna balance the airflow right now to where it's neutral. I think what I'll probably end up doing, honestly, is just set the front to 65 to match the top. Run the tests, and we're gonna, now the test is a little skewed, now just take it for what it is, because of the fact that I made two changes, right? We have the fan on the, different fan on the AIO, and a different fan on the front. So The front fan now should just be taken as, hey, this is supplying fresh air, and the thing is, it's supplying a lot of air at a lot lower noise than, say, 3120s would be. But now I'm curious as to whether or not the AIO is negatively or positively impacted at the same duty cycle anyway. So it is what it is. It's not the most scientific test, but it's just something to look at. Yeah, so I'm actually gonna stop the test a little early. It's only been about 8 minutes. Package is currently in the high 90s, and it goes up to 100 every now and then. 99, 91, 99, 92. So here's the thing. If we look at the smoke again, the front fan is great at pulling in air. I sped it up. Remember I told you it was running too slow. So it is absolutely cooling down just fine the interior of the case, right? And I got it positive pressure like I said I was gonna do. And as you can see, we have a lot of air coming through the rad up there. The problem is, as much as it looks like it's cooling the whole radiator, it's not, and that's why our temps are that high. I essentially took a 360 millimeter rad by 120 millimeter and made it like a 40 millimeter width rad, because the air is truly only making it through those very center rows. And those very center rows are on both sides of it's a U channel, right? It's a double pass. So only a few of the rows on the hot side and a few of those rows coming back are getting any cooling, and it's obviously showing. Okay, so here we go. We got our 285K Intel package temp sensor, or package temp super accurate testing chart thrown together real quick here in Google Sheets. Now this is the 360 AIO. It's the Cooler Master Elite. It's like a $50 cooler. 3 120 millimeter fans that come with it. This is what the chart looked like over 15 minutes. You can see it spikes up when the test starts. This is just running AIDA64's CPU and cache test. And then you can see it curves up. And after just a couple of minutes, it's normalized. There's not a lot of fluid in there for it to heat up. And so normalization takes as long as it takes for all of the coolant to reach equilibrium based on the airflow and the temperature that's going through it. And this is what it looks like. And this is what it looks like with the Riven 10. And it was still climbing, as you can see. So the reason why you see these crazy spikes is every time the temp climbed like it did, it changed the frequency curve because it was hitting throttling. It was ring temperature throttling and all that. But look at that. Look, it was still climbing at the 8-minute mark when I turned it off. I left it running for a little bit with these crazy spikes. So as you can see, clearly my concern about the Riven Jet or Riven Tech Airjet being used as an AIO cooler is valid. Don't use it as an AIO cooler. However, it is fantastic, no pun intended, as a fan for your chassis. Like the amount of cold air coming in, just the pure volume of it. It may be a straight line, but it will definitely fill the case. Once you put the side panel on, it will pressurize the case, and then it will fill in all the areas it needs to. So for instance, even though we don't have air coming off as a cone, we have a full sheet and column of air, which is actually doing its job. You can see it right there. Like, no problems even at 65%, pulling it in through the fan grill and then dispersing it throughout the chassis where needed. So anyway, there you go. A couple changes need to be made though. Those pass-through screws are way too close to the spinning motor head, as I already showed you. They need to have more clearance there. And the only way they can do that is actually by making the motors smaller, because those holes have to stay where they are because they line up with the 120 mounts. So for chassis, it's fine though. As long as you're using the normal screw, right? That's the short screw that's going through the chassis hole into the fan, that's fine, it's pulling the metal. But if it's squeezing the metal, if you have to mount the pass-through screw, that's where the problem is, because it's not actually the metal it's touching, it's the screw. The screw is just rubbing against there. So there needs to be some adjustment there. I have no idea if these are gonna launch with this video. I'm gonna give them this feedback saying this is what we found, but I like the direction they're going. They're extremely quiet. They're very efficient because they're not, you don't have 3 motors going, you have 2. But the thing is, they can scale this up as long as they can make the barrel. So you could potentially have a 560 version of this if you wanted to for some reason, but they just change the width, which means they can go with a bigger diameter on the actual fan barrels themselves, and they can just lengthen it as long as they need. The motors can stay the same. I think the motors are probably size fine to handle the inertia that is built up, to turn. It's the starting that's the hardest for the motor. Once they're turning and they have RPM, then the motor can keep it going pretty easily. But that's why that's a slow ramp up, because it's kind of applying voltage slowly rather than just hitting the motor with voltage and has all that resistance to overcome, which could wear the motor out. But I think as a case fan, they work really well. They're just very thick, obviously, so the smaller chassis like this might end up being a problem. Like I said, I do believe they have a 240 and a 360, and I'm really curious as to see how they're going to address that screw pit problem. Maybe don't even make it, don't even give the option to put on an AIO just based on the temperatures we saw. If we were to spread it out a little more, or maybe if there was like a diversion channel which can take it and make these scoops to fan it out, which, why would you do that? Then you put a centrifugal fan on there, right? A normal fan, which has a cone shape, which already does that. So it's not necessary, it's not needed, it's overkill, it doesn't work. It's overkill in terms of the size to performance ratio, because that's literally like the thickness of 2 fans on top of each other, and clearly it doesn't work for an AIO. It's just one of those rare times where I have a thought that physically, like physics in my head seemed like it wasn't gonna work, and it didn't. I was kind of fully expecting, based on the smoke test, that it was going to probably be fine, but there was still that very clear hump where that means literally only in the middle was there enough airflow for it to actually be affecting anything, and we took our 120 wide mil rad and made it like a 40 mil, and that obviously had an efficiency effect. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll put a link to the company down below. They do have other fans, like they have other like normal fans and stuff that I think are really cool looking. Maybe we'll do a video about those in the future. They seem to perform really well. They're thicker, they're better for static pressure. They would be appropriate to put on an AIO, to be honest. I should have thrown those on there, but then that's 2 different things in one video. And I just want to kind of keep it about this style fan, which I think is other companies have looked at trying to do, but they're implementing it well for chassis fans. I'm just wondering if a smaller one maybe could be in the works so you have better fitment, in certain small chassis. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, we'll see you in the next one.